Wow, what a bloodbath it is today, specifically when you're looking at altcoins. I haven't seen a day like this for a long time. Look at Solana, down 20%, Render, down 20%. In fact, look at these charts. Look at Cardano. Look at the 4-hour chart of Cardano, which went actually all the way down to 21 cents. Look at MATIC. MATIC down from 79 cents it went all the way down to 50 cents. This is a bloodbath. And it came just as we were complaining that there was no volatility in the market. And we said, okay, there's no volatility in this market. This market's getting boring and sideways. Well, you got to be careful what you wish for. You got to really, really, really be careful what you wish for. On the one side, though, you do have Bitcoin holding, well, I'd say better than everything else, but still under the 200-week moving average. And remember, tomorrow is actually the weekly close. And it looks like if nothing happens, if nothing miraculous happens, we're going to close above, or we're going to close below this 200-week moving average. And that is as the SEC have launched their biggest attack on crypto ever. And if you look at what's happening here, you see that people are actually now really scared. They're moving into Bitcoin. I've seen this before. This is what happens when people are panicking. They're getting out of altcoins. You see the altcoin charts. That's what the altcoin charts look like. And this is what the Bitcoin chart looks like. And the Bitcoin dominance chart now smashed through these resistances that it had for a long time. Remember, it kept hitting and hitting those resistances. And now where we're at is that it's actually smashed that. Same time, you can see that the market is now also treating Ethereum like Bitcoin. And I'll show you why the market is treating Ethereum like Bitcoin. The market is saying, look, we can either be in Bitcoin or Ethereum. In the old days, it was only Bitcoin. Now it's Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I'm going to show you why it is Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, big question. Why is this happening? Why is this happening right now? And if you look at it on face value, you can easily come up with a whole lot of reasons why this is happening. Well, for one, Robinhood has ended support for all tokens that were named securities by the SEC. Then you got Crypto.com shutting down its international operations. Then there were rumors that a massive fund, a $2 billion fund, actually liquidated all their holdings on a Friday night. And I'm going to show you whether or not that's true. So at face value, it's very, very, very simple to try and explain why this market collapsed. But that's not what this is about. You've got to deep digger. You've got to dig deeper, not deep digger. You've got to dig deeper. And if you dig deeper, what you'll realize is that this is happening because the US is actually banning altcoin trading. I'm going to show you in the show how right before your very eyes, right now, as I speak to you, the US is banning altcoin trading. I know you think that maybe this is clickbait. And my team said to me, we agreed that there's going to be no more clickbait tiles on this channel. Why are you putting a clickbait tile? And I said, guys, this is literally what I'm talking about. The US is banning altcoins. You can choose to agree and to see it, or you can choose to disagree. I'm going to make the case for you. I'm going to show you what's going on, and I'm going to show you why the market dumped so hard. And by the end of the show, you'll tell me whether you agree with me that it's happened, not because of what everyone here is saying is at face value, because Robinhood ended support for tokens, or because a few whales dumped. Why did the whales dump? Or because Crypto.com is shutting down their operations, or because some fund potentially dumped $2 billion. No. There's a bigger reason here. This is happening because the market woke up and realized that the US is banning altcoin trading. So let's go. Let's do this. It's a Saturday, but there's a lot to talk about. Let's go. And our friend Sheldon is going to join us at some point. And we're going to look at the charts as well. So let's go. Yeah, I see this. Johnny, I see this. I see this. It says screw alts. That's exactly what everybody is thinking right now. And that's why the Bitcoin dominance chart is looking like the Bitcoin dominance chart is looking, which is this. Look at what the Bitcoin dominance chart actually looks like. It was actually predicted. It was predicted by people like Ben Cowan. And I actually came down on him at the time and said, I don't think it will happen. I did change my tune though. And I did do a show later on saying I actually agree with him that I actually do think this would happen, but I didn't think it would happen for the same reasons that it happened, because there's no way that I could have seen this SEC attack coming onto crypto. And the truth is, even if I could have seen it, I don't know if I would have believed that the SEC was going to come down so hard on crypto on such a coordinated attack. But that's what it is. That's what it is. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to show you how how bad this attack is actually starting to get, because the attack is starting to get really, 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 really bad. It's what they're doing now is they're banning altcoin trading in the United States. I'm going to show you systematically how I think and why I think this is happening. They're doing it without having to go through Congress. They've got a tool to ban altcoin trading in the United States. So you want to watch this. All right. So listen, if you are new, welcome. Join us. We are flying in the bull market and in the bear market. This community is growing really, really fast. If you're here and you're here on a Saturday, welcome. Like this content, help me get the content out there. I know that there are a lot of people who are part of the fam who need to be here. Later on in the show, you guys will jump on and we'll do some calls. Sheldon's with me. We'll do some charts. We'll do some calls with you guys. See how you guys are feeling. Just get a pulse check on our community, because we really, really care about how everyone's feeling. And we want you all to know that we're all here for you in this time. And what a scary, scary, scary time it is. I want to just give you some perspective on how scary this is. If you look at the liquidations, in the last 24 hours, $400 million of liquidations in the last 24 hours. Obviously, the majority of them are longs that got liquidated. Some people must have got liquidated on the bounce as well, because 40 million, 10% then got liquidated on the bounce. If you want perspective, there's your perspective. So if you look at the two liquidations, we've now had 2 liquidations days. This was the Binance attack day, and this was the second day that, or yesterday, in terms of liquidations. Now, what you can see is that we haven't had this many liquidations since FTX. There were 2 days before FTX. There were 2 days during FTX that we had this many liquidations. And then I think, even if we go back, and I'm going to go back 3 years just to see if we can find this data. I mean, the last time that we had liquidations that were this bad was 6th of September 2021. That was the last time that we had such bad liquidations. In fact, let's go to daily, because I think daily makes it a bit more real. So let's quickly look at the daily. Okay, it doesn't go that far back, but it just shows you the extent to which these liquidations are actually happening. You know, the irony is not the irony. One of our analysts actually called us. He said on the 8th of June, I remember Joe, the Irishman, actually came to us. If you're not following Joe, the Irishman, follow him. He's very, very good. But he said that he's getting this 𝗕𝗍𝗕𝗏𝗧 in his stomach. And I keep saying to him, Joe, you're a researcher. You're an analyst. If you're an analyst, you've got to give me the fundamentals. Tell me why you're feeling what you're feeling. He says, I don't know why I'm feeling this way, but I'm starting to feel that there's a lot of pain that's going to be coming ahead. So maybe we should have listened. Maybe we should have listened. Anyway, listen, let's try and explain what's going on. Let me show you what's going on. I know that on face value, it seems like it's quite easy to explain this dump. And I'll show you what the rest of the market and how the rest of the market is actually explaining this dump. And I'll show you why the rest of the market is possibly potentially wrong about this dump. Okay, so this is what I want you to see. We'll build the story together. Then at the end of it, I want you to tell me if that's clickbait. And if it's clickbait, I'll take it down. If at the end of this show, you believe that thumbnail is clickbait, you'll tell me in a poll and I will take down the thumbnail. But if it's not, we need to keep it up, because then we need people to see it. Because we've made a commitment to you that we're not ever doing clickbait thumbnails. Again, we're not clickbaiting our community. It's something that we used to do in the past. We're not doing it anymore. So let's go and look at why this market actually came down. So the market came down very simply, if you look at it at face value, because of 4 reasons. Okay, so it's actually 4. There's 3 on this tweet. The first thing is Robinhood made an announcement that they were suspending tokens that the SEC had named securities. We'll talk about that in a second. There was also the announcement by Crypto.com saying that they are going to suspend their US institutional exchange. Crypto.com have a US institutional exchange. They made an announcement. They said, in light of the limited demand and the current market landscape, meaning these attacks on the SEC, we're out. We're leaving the United States. Okay, so we're leaving the United States. There was also a third reason why this market was potentially dumping, and that is because there were rumors that a fund called 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗡 dumped $2 billion on Friday night. Now, if you did see these rumors, these are fake news rumors. Don't believe them. You could have just used your head and said, hold on a second. Why would a fund who has a fiduciary duty to its holders actually sell on a Friday night when there's no liquidity? They would never do that. It's absolute garbage. So when you hear this rumor, as Banter fam, you guys know better. You know better than that. And what you say is that's garbage. No fund in their right minds would ever agree to sell their stuff on a Friday night when there's no liquidity. They would do it very, very, very slowly over a couple of weeks. It wasn't that. So it's crypto.com shutting down. And then something happened. And we're going to talk about what happened. But for what? But let's quickly just look at the Robinhood announcement. So Robinhood didn't make an announcement, and they said, look, we regularly review the crypto we offer on Robinhood. Based on the latest reviews, we've decided to end support for Cardano, MATIC, Solana. And the support will end on the 27th of June, which gave their holders about two and a half weeks. So let's call it 3 weeks to get their coins off Robinhood. Okay, good reason. We know what this means. This means because the SEC has now come out, and in the SEC documents, they have cited that all these tokens over here are actually securities. Look, I guess Robinhood had a decision to make. And I think the decision that Robinhood had to make was to say, look, we're not in this fight. The SEC hasn't come to us. The SEC has come to Coinbase and to Binance. And you know what? We're going to make a decision now. Do we want to fight the SEC? Or do we want to just say, look, we're out of this fight. We're going to let Coinbase and Binance resolve this fight. And by the end of the Coinbase and Binance fight, if these tokens are not actually securities, then hell, we'll just add them back. But until then, what they are saying is, why should we get into a fight that's not actually our fight? Right now, the SEC hasn't come for Robinhood. It's come for Coinbase and it's gone for Binance. And in the Coinbase and Binance actions, it has cited that all of these are securities. So I think that Robinhood is doing the prudent thing to do. Okay, let's just look at what this means for Robinhood. Robinhood had about $11 billion worth of crypto on their balance sheet. Of that, 3.8 billion is Bitcoin, 3.2 billion is Ethereum, 3 billion is Dogecoin, and then they got $1.3 billion in altcoins. So that means that they got $1.3 billion in a whole lot of altcoins, which include Cardano, Polygon, and Solana. And so when they made this announcement, and the announcement was actually made very early, right? People started to dump these tokens. Solana, MATIC, you can see if you look on chain, you can see that a lot of people started to dump Solana, MATIC, and Cardano. And that's why the charts of Solana, this is the MATIC chart. I mean, what a brutal chart. It went from 75 cents all the way down to 50 cents. The Cardano chart, wow, I haven't seen charts like this since FTX, but that it went down in the last couple of days. It went down 30%. Okay, and the Solana chart, pretty much similar picture, although Solana is having a little bit of a bounce. It went to $12.85. Interestingly, Solana still isn't at the levels that it got to at FTX, but a lot of these tokens went down to FTX levels. So, look, you could argue that, you know, Robinhood made this announcement and then everybody just ran for the doors. And then when people ran for the doors, they realized, oh, hold on, everybody's running for the doors. I also want to run for the doors. But you could make that conclusion. But I don't believe that this is the reason why the market dumped so hard. And yes, the market did dump very hard, and these tokens dumped the hardest. But there's a reason why these tokens dumped the hardest, right? So you can see that this is all the on-chain information that shows that all the moves from Cumberland, from Jump. Now remember, Cumberland and Jump are market makers. They're OTC desks. So they're not selling their own positions. They're selling on behalf of their clients, and their clients could be big funds. Their clients could actually be Robinhood themselves. So their clients actually could be Robinhood themselves, all actually selling their positions. Okay, so why did the market sell as hard as it did? Yes, it did sell because the SEC has declared these things securities. But what's going on here is much bigger than this. And the reason why it's much bigger than this is because if you look at what the SEC is actually doing, what it's doing is it's making all these companies that sell crypto have to make a decision. And the decision is, do you want to fight us or not? Now, Coinbase and Binance have no option but to fight the SEC because the SEC has gone after them. The SEC went against the two biggest ones. It shut down the two biggest ones. And what the message that they sent to the market is, they said, look, if any of you are holding any of these altcoins, but actually the message is much bigger. The message is, if anybody is holding an altcoin, you don't know whether we're going to deem the altcoin a security or not a security, because look, this is what we know have been named securities. And this has come over years and years and years of action by the SEC. We now have a list of all the tokens that they have called securities. But every time that they take action against another party, they increase the list of these potential securities. And so what is the message that the SEC is giving to companies like Robinhood, companies like Coinbase, companies like Kraken, companies like Binance that serve the US public? The message is very, very, very clear. If you list altcoins, we can at any time send you an action and tell you that we believe that those altcoins are securities. Because before Coinbase and before Binance, they had never, ever, ever said that Solana was a security, or Cardano was a security, or 𝗕𝗍𝗧𝗏 was a security, or MATIC was a security. They never said that. They said it in the action itself. So what's the message that they're driving to any company servicing US participants? The message they're saying to every company serving US participants and investors is, if you trade altcoins, if you trade anything except Bitcoin, Ethereum, and maybe XRP, because XRP is in a case, you're in trouble. You stand the risk of actually getting an action against us, which you are going to have to defend. And remember, if Coinbase defend their action and the SEC gets what they want, Coinbase will have to pay $6 billion, because in the request of the SEC to the court, they have said that any money made by Coinbase for trading these illegal securities should be returned with interest. Imagine that you're a company operating in the United States and you say to yourself, what do I do? I don't know if these altcoins are going to be securities or not securities. The only thing I know is the following. I know Bitcoin is not a security because that's already cast in stone. I know Ethereum is not a security, or at least I think Ethereum is not a security. And I want to quickly just walk you through this, why I say I think Ethereum is not a security. So we know that 𝗕𝗏𝗕𝗏𝗏, who was the ex-chair of the SEC, said that Ethereum was not a security. And we know now that the SEC is saying that. Gary Gensler also said when he lectured at MIT, and this is a video that I've got.
In 2018, the Securities and Exchange Commission has said, regardless of what it might have been in 14, it's now sufficiently decentralized that we'll consider it not a security. And in 2008.
So what he's saying is, regardless of what it was when it issues, because now it's completely decentralized, ETH is not a security anymore. And so what is the message? The message is, if you are servicing US customers, you never know when we're going to come for you and what tokens we're going to deem as securities. Okay? In the last two actions, these were the ones that they deemed as securities. If you take all the actions together, there's 3 pages of tokens that the SEC have deemed a security. Here's Library. Remember when they went up against Library? Here's Mirror Protocol when they went up against Mirror Protocol. The message is, to anyone servicing US customers, you never know which tokens are going to be securities. The only ones that are safe are Bitcoin and Ethereum at the moment. And if you trade anything else, you could get an enforcement action from us at any point in time. What's the net effect here? And I'm going back to this because this is big. What have they done here? Effectively, they are working on a plan to ban altcoins and altcoin trading in the United States. Because if you go to the centralized entities and you say, look, guys, if you list anything but Bitcoin and Ethereum, there is a chance that we're going to take action against you. And if we take action against you, the penalties are really high. You've got a choice to make as a provider. You can either agree and delist the tokens, which is exactly what Robinhood have done. And I think the jury's still out on whether Kraken will follow suit. Okay? Or you have to fight us. That's it. Those are your options. Most people, most companies don't have the money to fight. You can't fight the SEC. Ripple has spent $200 million fighting the SEC, and that's around 1 token. Imagine going to fight the SEC around all of these tokens. Imagine the fight that Coinbase has to fight, to clear its name. Imagine, you think Coinbase has got a problem. Binance has put aside $1 billion. How many exchanges in the world have $1 billion to go and fight the SEC? How many exchanges have, if you're an exchange, if you're a Robinhood, do you have $1 billion to go and fight the SEC? Not a chance. So what are they doing? They're banning altcoin trading. How are they doing it? They're not doing it through Congress. They did it instead of going through Congress, which they knew was going to be a fight because they would have all the senators pushing back and then potentially not being able to pass the bill because the US is still a democracy and because it does become a party versus party thing. They said, hold on a second. How can we ban them? And they said, there's an easier way to ban this. The way to ban it is to bully these people out. Take a government agency, give them these powers to issue action. Remember what happened the last time Kraken got action by the SEC? They didn't even fight it. They thought they were right, and they didn't even fight it. They just paid the $30 million and they shut down their staking operation. That's it. That is the government's plan here. Instead of going to Congress to ban crypto trading and to ban crypto, because they know they'll never get that passed, they've gone another route, an underhanded route. And the route is to use an enforcement agency called the SEC and to take action against companies and to bully companies because they know that they can't fight back, and using that action to put them in a position where most US exchanges or all US exchanges eventually delist these altcoins. Now look, luckily, we have a good fighter we have a very, 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 very good fighter in the ring. We've got Brian Armstrong, he's got a lot of money. And they're saying, we have no plan to delist tokens named in the SEC lawsuit because we are actually going to court with the SEC. We will fight this. But all the other ones, like Robinhood, out, bye-bye, gone. And even Grayscale, who is, by the way, still litigating against the SEC, they were going to do a Filecoin trust product. And now because of what's happened, and because Filecoin now falls in 2 lawsuits as a security, they have basically said, we're not doing it anymore. This is what I'm trying to say to you. When all the exchanges capitulate, effectively it becomes impossible to trade altcoins in the United States. And so it's not a ban in Congress, but it's a ban by enforcement. It's exactly the strategy that the USA have adopted all along. Don't ban it in Congress because it's never going to happen. Ban it by enforcement. Don't tell people what securities are. Tell them by enforcement. And they've done this master plan. Now, this master plan of theirs has been going for a long time, because what did they do? They did it systematically. First thing they did was they cut off the banks. Remember, we had 3 or 4 crypto banks. You know, miraculously, they've now all gone insolvent. They all disappeared. They're gone, finished. So what do? They choke the liquidity first. When they choke the liquidity, this is what Benjamin Kahn says, many will blame the SEC, many will think this is the end. But the liquidity has been drying up for a long time. And so what you do, first, you drain the liquidity. You make sure no new money can come on to buy it. Then what you do is you spread the FUD and people dump the altcoins. And then when you do it, the prices collapse and everybody hates crypto. That's the master plan here. You got to see it. Now, I know what a lot of you are saying. Well, don't worry, we can still trade on the DEXs. For now, you can. But remember that Uniswap.com is registered to a US company. Yes, the Uniswap protocol is decentralized, but Uniswap.com, have no misconceptions in your head, is registered in the United States to a US company. Do you think that they're not going to go to the DEXs next? I mean, do you really think that? Do you really think that they're going to just stop at the centralized exchanges? Or do you think that their next move is actually to go to the US exchanges and start the decentralized exchanges? Given what you've seen up until now. Come on, you guys, you're smart. Yeah. And if, by the way, right now, I'm going to shill a sponsor. If you are anywhere in the world and you're not using a VPN, guys, you are sharing your IP address with a centralized company in the front end. You need to know that. And if you are doing that, one day when the government does go to Uniswap or to any of these decentralized protocols that do have centralized companies, right? They're going to get your IP address and they're going to correlate your IP address to somehow, and they're going to find you. For $3, for £3, for $3, you can save yourself, okay? For $3, you can save yourself. Just, there's a link below. Just do it. Support the channel, support yourselves, keep yourself safe. Honestly. I didn't want to plug a sponsor. Friday is NordVPN day, not Saturday. But you got to see what's going on here. Now, look, I want you guys to tell me the truth because I really didn't want to do any clickbait thumbnails. And Josh, I want you to run a poll here. I've showed you now how the government is planning to ban altcoins. I've showed you now that even if all the Robinhood tokens were sold on one day, which would be impossible because they gave until the 27th of June. They gave 3 weeks or they gave 3 weeks to sell $1.3 billion of their total altcoins. Okay? Now, you want to tell me that caused this? You want to tell me that caused this? Or you want to tell me that there's something bigger at play here? And the bigger thing at play here is that all the exchanges in the United States are realizing they can't hold altcoins safely anymore. And it's maybe now it is Solana, MATIC, and Cardano, but next week it's going to be something else. Maybe it'll be Dogecoin. I don't know what it's going to be. You don't know. I don't know. It's a plan to ban altcoins. They didn't go through Congress. They did it themselves. They did it using the SEC as a pawn, as an enforcement agency to force this thing. All right. So what happens next? Well, for one, I believe that yesterday was a bit of an altcoin capitulation. And traditionally, capitulations are buying time. And I'll remind you, and I saw this tweet, this is a guy who said that he took this picture on COVID day, March 2020. Ethan BTC fell by 50%. He thought it was the end of crypto, so he was afraid to buy, but it only went up from there. I'm not saying it's only up from here, because I think there's a big fight ahead of us. But this is the time when champions are made. This is the time when millionaires are made. Arthur Hayes says a lot of forced selling of shitcoins. I fucking love it. I got my shopping list and I intend to load up slowly over the summer. And I think that that's probably a very, very, very smart thing. I do agree with Gareth here that it is a bubble and 95% of it needs to be flushed out. And when 𝗕𝗚𝗧𝗏 and all those meme coins get flushed out, by the way, let's go to 𝗕𝗚𝗧𝗏 and let's just see what happened to all the meme coins, because for me that's the indicator of when this shit ends. So let's go to Ben and Mong. Those are my two tokens to tell me whether there's still froth left in this market. Okay, still too high. Market cap of $20 million, still too high. Let's look at Mong. 6 million market cap, much more realistic. Much more realistic. Okay, the air is being let out of the bubble. I just want to give you guys perspective. Every time that we've had these bad days, usually that marks local lows. So here we go. Every time we have the FUD, local low, local low, local low. You know, you can see that these have been buy times. I do agree with Chris, who's the founder of Crypto.com. He says, as expected, following this week's action on the regulatory front, we saw some delistings causing a market sell-off. I guess we are in the they fight you stage on crypto adoption. Make no mistake, the crypto industry will go through this and emerge stronger than ever before. So, and I mean, this fight is big. This fight is getting big. And I want to give you perspective around the fight. So, Binance not allowed in the US. Well, almost not allowed in the US. Out of Canada, out of Australia, out of Singapore, and now out of Nigeria, because someone says Nigeria regulator says Binance operations are illegal. I don't know what that means. We have Charles, the founder of Cardano, saying that there's a lack of clarity, and so what's starting to happen is these companies are starting to move out. And who jumped in and said this? Well, Hong Kong saying, hey, Coinbase, you want to come anyway? Come to us, come to Hong Kong. So yeah, that is what the reason is, guys. I had to bring it to you. I wanted to make sure that you guys, you know, I wanted to be honest with you about what's going on and why we got such a big market dump, and I didn't want to do clickbait. You tell me though, if you still think that's clickbait, let me know. Let me know. We also have 𝗕𝗆𝗧𝗚𝗘𝗧 with us. Brother, how are you feeling?
Yo, yo.
Very
I'm good,
loud.
actually. I'm allowed. Wait.
Microphone you
Now.
need.
1,
much
2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Better?
Yes. Go lower. Here we go. Much better.
Lower. What's happening, bro?
How you
Obviously, I'm overwhelmed with obviously just waking up and seeing this tank from the altcoins. And I think it's a lot of questions. We've just heard a lot from you now. And, it's quite scary. It's quite scary what you're saying, yeah, and how it's actually sounding. And I started looking at the charts, especially the ones you've been speaking about, as in Solana.
Let's bring them up. Let's bring them up.
There we go. So obviously, just
very loud. Maybe just bring it slightly down.
Let me just change it.
I'm hearing a lot of. I'm hearing a lot of. There we go.
There we go. Is it better?
Much better.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Amazing, brother. So obviously Bitcoin's still looking okay. It has the local low, which we're still holding. Doesn't look like it's going to hold it at the moment. But this is still in trend. Like obviously we can see very clearly Bitcoin's okay. Dominance is obviously the scary one, to see how dominance is starting to break out of this top range, which probably means maybe for the little while that we're going to have a bit of a strong Bitcoin. And the next targets for me, just looking at the horizontals, is 53 and 58. But now my big questions is, we got BNB. Okay, so if we look at this weekly chart over here, it's definitely lost trend, definitely on the higher time frame, making its way down. But there's a very scary scenario. And the scenario is we come down and we lose this, very similar to the FTX low. And you have this humongous gap. And we saw it with FTX, we saw these tokens. And this makes me slightly nervous, okay, looking at this.
Can I ask you a very simple question?
Yes.
Risk return, what's the upside for holding BNB? Like,
so BNB risk, and the worst scenario plays out, you lose 80%. Okay. Reward, back to the tops, 200%. Risk to reward, 1 to 2.5. It's okay.
It's not going back to the top. I'll tell you why it's not going back to the top. Because the top was before regulatory clarity, right? The top was before regulatory clarity. Now there's regulatory clarity. They're getting regulated out of a lot of the markets. It's not going back to the top. So for me, not touching BNB, love CZ, love the exchange.
So the only thing that's worrying me about this is the last time we had a chart that had a very long period, like this is attached to Binance, right? We got everything going on at the moment. If this had to happen to BNB, is there something with Binance? Like for me, it's like this is crazy breaks of altcoins. We're seeing below the November and the FTX collapses. Like what's stopping us from buying now? Is there a double whammy that comes out of nowhere and this plays out? Because this shows, yeah.
Take me to the jewels, bro. Take me to the jewels. Take me to Solana. Take me to I think for me Solana. Like what's the chart saying?
So Solana's still, it's actually doing relatively okay at the moment. It is at a good level, just above the highs of November. It does have that bad scenario. That scenario of what I just said of BNB, where it's this like weird gap where we just see some of these tokens literally lose 80%. Like I actually want to show you MATIC here. If MATIC loses this over here, you're looking at around about an 87. Like, is there any scenario that it gets this bad? And I think that's the question. For me, it's like, it's just another huge dump again. We are getting to the range lows. It's always been great areas to build up. But if you are someone that wants to buy MATIC, Solana, BNB, is there a scenario that there is an 85% drop still now, coming from 70% from the top? It's a bit wary. So again, I think it's dollar costing for this token, yes. But there is this back of my head here that you're even making me stress a little bit by what you're saying here of what they're attacking. Like this is something that can happen over a big period of time. And I'm scared something big happens as what in FTX happens within Binance. And this is how I'm feeling. So I want to ask you a question. I'm a person that's holding all these coins now. The audience is holding all these coins now. What would you say is the best way to hold yourself together and to act on the situation? Do you prep for a complete meltdown? Maybe there is one. Like, do people are panicking right now? And so I wouldn't say so am I, but it's like, I'm holding these tokens. And it's like, you got the experience in this game. What would you say to someone? What do you do?
I'm buying the dip. I'm buying the dip. Why? Because my time horizon is long. I believe in the technology. I believe it sorts itself out. But I'm buying it responsibly. I'm only buying stuff that I really, really, really think will work. I'm buying Solana. I'm buying Arweave. I'm buying some of the trading platforms. I'm not buying hype. Like MATIC for me is hype. I'm not buying hype. Cardano for me, there's no apps or very few apps that are being built in it. Look, I know that there's going to be meme, but I'm not buying it now because again, what you want to be buying here is you want to be buying stuff that is actually working. I think it's a great time to be buying Bitcoin and ETH because, but it's risky, but those are much less risky. So for me, Bitcoin and ETH are very good. I'll actually.
Would you say a 25K Bitcoin's cheap as an investor?
I mean, you know what? Maybe you'll get it at 22 and maybe you'll get it at 21. I don't know. But in the long term, if it goes to 100, does it matter whether you bought it at 21 or 22?
Like, look at Cardano, bro. This is weekly. Like, if it loses these lows, it's just crazy where this is going. And I think the big question I'm asking you is, we're hearing all the stuff. Is it short-term or long-term that this is all playing out? Like, do we prep for a proper drought? And I think it's important. I'm looking at my long-term portfolio today, and that's the one I'm just questioning.
Okay, wait. Let's just reset here and say, forget about emotions. Forget about your loyalty to certain communities, okay? Let's forget about this army ship that we have in crypto. Forget about your loyalty to Render or your loyalty to Cardano or your loyalty to Solana and the fact that you're part of the community because you once bought the token and you made money and you became attached to it. Now's the time to ask really serious questions. Is the network being used? Does the network really have a use case? Bitcoin has a use case. Ethereum has a use case. Solana has a use case. MATIC has a use case. Okay. Now ask yourself, what is that? What is the fair valuation of that token? You want to be holding 𝗕𝗚𝗏𝗄 now? You want to be holding Ben? You want to be holding 𝗔? You want to be holding, I don't know. I mean, I'm not comparing them, but you want to be holding Cardano or you want to be holding a network that is actually really, really being used? And I know that the Cardano community is going to come after me and tell me exactly how their network is being used. No, not for me, man. Not for me. I also, to be honest, like I saw this chart. It gave me amazing perspective. I don't know if you've seen this chart, but like we're still very much in trend.
I agree with that, but go back to that Bitcoin dominance chart quickly.
Yeah.
If you're back at that now, if Bitcoin goes on a rampage where it starts coming down now to like the 24 and that continues up, like that's the question. You've just had dominance break a long-term range and this could send dominance up for a while. Great. And I think it's just, if Bitcoin does not bounce, what would make Bitcoin bounce now? Who would buy Bitcoin now?
No,
because
Bitcoin,
we have all the love there.
No. Bitcoin is safe. Bitcoin is not a security. Can't be a security. It's not a security. It is regulated as not a security. It's not. You can buy Bitcoin. Why do you think Bitcoin's only at 25,000? That's it. Why do you think Bitcoin's like? To be honest, I would get out of all the shit. I'm not saying this one is shit, but I would get out of BNB. Why? What's your upside? There's much more downside than there is upside. The downside is they get regulated, they get attacked. There's a criminal action. By the way, we didn't speak about it, right? But maybe this sell-off was as a result of a leak that there's DOJ charges coming against CZ on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. Maybe. We know that these things are always leaked. Okay? You want to be in BNB when that happens? Seriously? Like, I'm not saying nothing against BNB, nothing against Binance. I'm just saying from a risk reward, there are better tokens to buy. And it's time to have a level head. And it's time to forget about everything. It's time to forget about community. It's time to forget about bullshit. Okay? It's time to, but this token, why? Because I'm a community. No, just go to the fucking stats. Is the token being used? Is the token not being used? And if a token isn't being used, and if you don't see a route for the token to be used, don't buy it. Because you're going to make a bad buying decision. Simple. That's the way I agree.
I agree. And I think the big thing here is, I think risk to reward on many tokens now is obviously way in favor of reward than risk. I think just swapping in between your portfolio is probably the best right now within a lot of these tokens. I think I'm just reducing slightly and I'm making sure that instead of 20 shitty entries, rather get 4, 5, or 6 really good ones. And I think that's a...
Hold on.
I am trading, by the way. I'm trading this little range just for some fun.
Yeah, how are you?
It's volatile.
How are you? I'd be live trading all day long, man.
My goal is tomorrow. I think this little dump that just happened now, I think it's just got to calm down slightly on the smaller time frames.
Yes.
And then from that, I think there's going to be some nice trading because this is obviously huge volatility. And the previous days that we've had double-digit drops, like red days, we always have a really good next day or the day after. So I think there's going to be some really good trades coming. We just want to obviously see Bitcoin hold this little low here. If it can obviously hold the local low and it doesn't have to go test the 24. And I'm just really hoping we're above the $26,000 for the weekly close, just so we can have Bitcoin safe. Even though alt's shit right now, it's okay. As long as Big Daddy can just be holding key levels, it'll give me a bit more calmness.
Yeah, I want to just there was someone that showed that had a comment up that he was buying Ajax Singularity. Here we go. Cardano. I agree with you on Render, and I agree with you potentially on Phantom because both are used. I don't see any reason in the world to buy Cardano, and I don't see any reason in the world to buy SingularityNet. That's hype. But you're buying that because of the AI narrative. And Cardano, I still don't know anyone that's using it except Cardano DEX, which is their own DEX. Okay?
Bro, Phantom has to be cheap, bro. It's like low 20s. 20 cents. That's crazy.
It's time to get sober. It's time. You know what it is? Yeah, let me read it to you again. Because in case you, what they say, in case you missed it, let me read it to you again. I've always compared the .com bubble to the crypto bubble, and thus the collapse should be the same. The junk needs to be cleansed from the system to allow for the best to flourish. 95% of the coins will go to zero. This is happening now. You want to choose your coins very, very carefully. And the way to choose your coins very, very carefully is to say, am I going to be here for the long time? Yes. Is there usage on the network right now, or do I see immediate usage on the network? And if not, my advice to you is just get the hell out. Get the hell out. That's the way I see it. By the way, if you want to get the hell out of the United States, because it's not only coins that you want to get out of. It could be that you just want to get the hell out of where you live, like in the United States.
Yeah.
Go to our sponsor before. It's called Passports for Crypto. You buy a piece of land in St. Kitts, which is amazing, by the way. And then you get yourself a passport in St. Kitts. And that passport allows you to travel to like 50 countries around the world or even more without a visa. So there's a link below. If you want to get the hell out of the United States, you can. There is an option for you. Or if you want to get out of wherever you are, or if you just want to have another passport, you buy it, you get an amazing piece of land and real estate in St. Kitts. And you also get the option to get the hell out of the US. And I got the hell out of the US. Do you think that people should get the hell out of the US?
You should definitely get out of the US, and you should make sure you own your own keys. Get off a centralized exchange.
Yeah, listen, Josh, what did the poll say? Was I clickbaiting or wasn't I clickbaiting, bro?
50% say clickbait, 50% say no.
Oh, wow.
We'll have to keep it then, right?
Yeah, come on, guys. You got to vote there. Let's see. I think just to okay, it's been obviously markets red. We dampened, like just hearing that like down, like isn't this also a good thing? And I just want to get your experience from the market that this is the flushing out stage, getting rid of the shit, right? You just said it.
The British pound
Does it mean
lowest
Sorry.
ever. Financial institutions are already moving to restrict access to both cash and.
I don't know what happened.
But isn't this one step closer to the new start of the cycle?
Correct.
Like, you know what I mean? And it should be one of the last steps, right? Maybe the
Correct.
draining one. And I think that's just something just to motivate people. Like, guys, just I know we've been here and it's been just like dumps and it's like capitulation. You get through this, you'll survive. And you survive, you'll make a lot of money. That's the big thing. You gotta survive.
Listen, I didn't know you if you were coming or not, so I didn't put you on my thumbnail, but I'm gonna have to change the thumbnail because you actually did it.
That's okay, bro. I'm just glad we're here. I'm here, bro. I'm here.
We did show up for our community, and I'm going to show up for you again. I'm jumping onto Twitter Spaces now with Mario. We've got a partnership with Mario. Me, Scott, and Mario do a daily Twitter Spaces. So I'm going to be jumping on that. So go to the Mario thing. Give our sponsors some love. I've given you the good case to get to NordVPN, and if you want to leave the US, Passports for Crypto is very, very, very good. I think we'll both see you guys again tomorrow, but I think tomorrow Sheldon's going to sit here and trade like on the short time frames like a machine.
Just have fun, bro. Yeah, I think this is what we wanted. We wanted some volatility, so let's play around. Dude, how's your spaces been? Are you feeling okay? It's been quite. Yeah, you guys are busy, bro.
Busy.
Putting in a lot of love.
Busy,
Guys,
busy.
go show love. Go show love. Okay, right. Let's get back to the families. Enjoy your spaces. Much
Guys,
love.
again tomorrow. Until then, trade. There's a lot of trading opportunities, guys. Trade well, my friends.